So here we are on the allotment site. It's been an unusual time because a few weeks ago we got hit by frost, and I'll show you in a minute if you can still see it, what happened. And now we have intense heat. I began to tell you that we had a light frost here. See, it's an irony because it's so hot now. It caused a lot of destruction, but not, yeah, a fair bit. Because what happened was that it came down, it came as far as my lower plot, but it didn't affect others down there. It sort of kind of stopped. So I'll point it out anyway. And so what it did, it affected the tops of the potatoes and runner beans that I had up here, but it didn't affect my wife's raised bed. I'll show you it later, because it's high up, and it didn't affect the plot right at the back. It didn't reach that far. The luck of the draw, but then they do recuperate, and I've been hoeing up. Well, I mean by hoeing, it's pulling the soil up. So I hope they're going to recuperate. Well, they will recuperate. Anyway, I can show you it here now. People are coming onto the site early morning or late evening. I do a mix. We're now standing on the lower plot, so maybe I can point out a few things of what the frost did, and then I'll show you the runner beans up the tops, because they were also hit by the frost, but they seem to be coming back. So we are in late May, and I've spoken about the dramatic changes in the weather, but I'm hoping we get some rain, because I've been sowing seed, but it needs that spark, and the spark is the rain. I'm waiting for that, but it seems to be more up north. I have been throwing soil on top of the potatoes, and I think they're recovering. I can see a lot of green now, but if I can see anything dry, I'll point it out, but they seem to be recovering. What I did have here also, that's not to do with the weather, I planted I can see one strawberry poking through, but I planted a line of strawberries here, and most of them got eaten probably by rats. I will transfer that strawberry up the top because I have some now up the top, but I have had a problem on this site when I had the whole of this area, because I planted a load of squash and they were ravaged. So I don't plant them down here now. Only things that I think are fairly safe, but I've learnt my lesson. Strawberries are also can be a victim, because we were right near a brook here, so the rats have a field day. Over here, I can say it further, but over here, this first bit, I did have 2 rows of potatoes. Nothing came through. They just didn't grow. So I just pulled out, turned it over, and I started re-sowing here. So I have to remind myself what I've put in. Just send me down because I was quite racing here. Yeah, fennel. I put fennel here and dwarfing. You can see actually the sort of thing it does from the frost. Just here, you see it just dries the leaves, but they do recover. So these will recover as well. Here I just threw chippings down as soon as after the frost came. Now I've been hoeing up because I don't expect throwing soil on top, because I don't expect another frost. But I think it also helps the potatoes from going green. Okay, so there is straw here because I I admit I got into somewhat of a panic when I saw the effects of the frost, and I raced down here with straw, which is actually being blown away by the wind. Someone, one of our Chinese plot holders, said she does lay straw anyway against weeds. I have my doubts about it, but she said she puts it in a wheelbarrow and soaks the straw, which is sensible, so that it doesn't blow away. But I was in such a panic when I saw what the frost had done that I raced down here with the straw. Since then I've been throwing soil on top, but that's more to stop any greening. We can also see the chard fighting its way back. I had chard that I sowed last year, and it's quite resilient, so it's fighting its way back. And also probably the spinach over there that behind, probably showing there's weeds and spinach together. What I'm doing here, I haven't finished doing it, is it's almost done. I've just got to connect a pipe over there to the tap. Is laying drip pipes here because potatoes are affected by blight, and blight comes with the rain. And I thought if I try watering from underneath, it might have a better effect. And also, I believe for the seeds that I've sowed here, and I'm not wasting so much water, because often people come with a hose and so much water comes out that far too much. I didn't get to those roads down there. I was racing here where it seemed the worst, throwing down straw. But they look like they're recovering. That is actually a wild bean. I put in these beans during the winter or in the autumn. There was rows of it, and then I turned it into the soil. And over there's another one. So they're the survivors from my turning in. But they produce nitrogen in the soil. I would do the same up the top, and here, if they come through, there are dwarf beans. And then up the top there's runner beans. So I won't dig them out. I'll turn them into the soil because they produce nitrogen. So I think that's about it here, really. I mean, it's still a bit of a mess. But there's the fire pit, which I mentioned previously. Or what was the fire pit? Because burning's not allowed here now. I've started to sow there because to stop it turning into a waste ground. We'll see what comes with the rain. So I've sowed a few things willy-nilly, but as I say, it's a bit wild still. Well, so potatoes here, which also got really hit. So I had to turn it over and re-sow. So I put in something along here. I think I put carrots along there just to get it going. But then, if I have time, I'll deal with it. I can see a few onions that survive. Yeah, potatoes in there. So and the other one is over here. So that's a potato that survived. But that's how it is in gardening, growing vegetables. You win some and you lose some. But this soil isn't the greatest. I had a mentor a while back. He was an RHS examiner and advisor, and when I was working he came to give us advice, and he said that when people burn, so it leaves sulphur in the ground, it's not good for the soil. But then it's a bit of a mix, because I know people here who have burnt and then grown stuff and they've done well. So which is it? I haven't done so well here on this patch, but I keep going at it until I get a result. So at some point I'll bring some mulch down here. Mulch, I mentioned before, I won't spend on bags of mulch, but if I can get old chippings, I'll bring that down here, if I have time. But that same expert told us to sow carrots in December and then put a cloche over them, they'll survive, but they didn't come through, so I wouldn't dream of sowing carrots now in December. So people have different experiences. Or we can go over to my wife's pot, because I mentioned mulch, because there's been a few little changes, and to be honest, yesterday I put a timer on there because I can't always get, she comes less than me and I can't always get there to water. So yesterday I put a timer on. I'll see if anything burst, or I don't think it, because I was testing it, so it should be all right. This is my wife's raised bed, and I mentioned mulch because what happened here, these beds were filled up with soil that was taken from a building that had been reconstructed, and it was full of stuff, full of bad stuff, glass and all kinds of things. Even though it was picked out, it was rough soil. So what I did do is I brought down bags of mulch, plus some stuff I dug out from my upper plot, and I've been laying it here. And actually it looks like it's really improved here. So she's got potatoes up there that are really looking fantastic. She's got lettuce over there and some radish in the middle here, and onions. And the embarrassing thing is, well, the truth is I put the onion sets in, I put them in, but hers are always better than mine. And with regards to onions, I was watching a video of an American who, that's his expertise, and he says the onion sets are just mini onions that have been, he said immature onions that go to seed very quickly. He prefers to sow from seed. So next year I may focus, rather than onion sets, which are easy to do, you just pop them in the ground, I may try and focus on growing onions from seed. There are drip pipes here, a mix of drip pipes and little jet sprays, and I've just put a timer on. And here I've potted up for her some mint. The reason for the mint is because we do get bees coming, not so much here, but drinking from the water. And my wife discovered that actually the bees are deterred by the mint, which, and I think she's right, from last year we tried it. Potatoes that are doing really marvellously, so you can see how much they've come up, although maybe they're not spaced as well as mine, so they may be smaller when we start digging them out. Time will tell. So I walk up, I'm also pointing, there are drip pipes here. It's a bit of a mishmash. There's drip pipes here, but there's also sprayers over here, because I wanted to make sure to cover all of her raised bed, and I didn't have all the equipment at the time, and she was worried about the watering. So we've got aubergine here, to doing better than mine again. She's a total beginner and I'm supposedly the expert, and she always seems to do better than me. But then the point is, when I was just starting out and knew nothing from nothing, I grew the biggest cabbage ever. So beginner's luck. That looks like an aubergine over there, and that looks like a cucumber. I don't always remember what I put in. Oh well, she put that in actually. She prefers seedlings, to buy seedlings from, so these are the lettuce here. She prefers to buy seedlings from the garden centre. But then again, I've got this thing of called it ego. I've got to do it from seed because I'm the greatest seed sower. But actually, I was watching a video and the gentleman saying, why are people ashamed of buying seedlings from a garden centre? It makes life easier. And so there you go, a fight with the ego. So I'm pointing to the lettuce here, which we need to pick soon, because if we don't, it's going to go to seed. So well developed. So later I might come back and pick some of that on my own. So here we've got radish. Those she also put from seedlings, and they were looking. She put seedlings in. She did that, and they were looking miserable until the mulch went down. But I also think it's because it's getting more regular watering, and I'll point that out in a minute. So I'm going back over here to the onions, and they are, if you see the bulbs, they're really swelling up. They talk about sowing sets to get a bigger bulb, spread them out. But these are what my hand width is. I'd say 6 inches, but they're not 6 inches here, and here they're swelling up really well. So here there's nothing sown here, but she's well aware she needs to fill it up. This is a timer. Oh, here it is. It's turning on by itself once every 12 hours. It's on. Magic. Promise I didn't touch it. And I think that's also why things are growing better, because I was doing it erratically. She doesn't get here as much as I do, and I was doing it when I had a minute. I turned it on. Okay, we're walking up to my upper plot, and since last time I've actually put in a whole mix of cabbage in the cage. So the pipes are all over the place here. Because this pipe belongs to the drip system. So I put it, there's a bit of weed here, but you have to fight with the weed. So there's lines of cabbage, there's Brussels sprouts towards the end, and I put courgettes and squash down this end, because this is where I had the nursery, where I was growing small cabbages and such, and kale. So I gradually took them out and I transplanted them, and they are doing well with the drip system. These are the strawberries here, just here, that I just put in yesterday actually, and not what I planted, but I think these are sunflower. They just grow wild. I think so. I mean, you can check it, even just remembering them. I think these are going to be, and they were huge last year. So the other thing, and I should have warned you, I put the day before yesterday, put in tomatoes. Now the thing about these canes, I should have something on top, because I could have easily poked my eye out by just bending down. So I wondered why people were putting these yogurt tops on, but now I realise the importance of them. If you want to save money buying the proper ones at garden centres, put yogurt tops on. Oh, I thought it was against some kind of pest. Anyway, so here I'm putting these tomatoes. They were extra ones that I had in the greenhouse. I've been gradually clearing the greenhouse out. It's almost empty except for what's in the soil. there. So I have put in here, I've got to remember myself. I think the first line is carrots. I don't think there'll be any sign. Oh, here there are dwarf beans, but I can see one poking through actually, because I can see one poking through. I was surprised because I said before, rain. And then over there I put more tomato plants with the straw down to try and keep it damp. Oh yes, the broad beans. Well, we've got broad beans. What I did here, and I should start doing more, I may have mentioned it last time, I picked off the tops because that's where the black fly goes in. Now they say, well, soapy water. I mean, I've got my reservations about that. They say, but picking off the tops does help. Then they say water, use a strong jet of water to wash them off. It's not exemplary, but it helps. Last year, I think I mentioned that previously, I had the broad beans inside the net over there, and they didn't get anything, hardly. A little bit of black fly, and now you're burying plot holder. So mine are completely, they got black fly, they got chocolate disease, and yours are clean. And I think probably a net does make a difference, but it's a bit off-putting to have a net. So I have to think about that one. They also have a drip pipe, so I don't need to water these. I sowed pak choy in between the onion. Not something that they do in the book, but they do say into plant. You won't see anything because it was just recent. If they come, they come. Maybe it'll help against any pests having onions surrounding them. Over here there's the garlic. Now you can see what they say about onions, which I pointed out over there, and there's a garlic at the back. Onions fall over when that's it, the end of their time. But garlic goes yellow. The leaves they start changing, they become yellow, they don't fall over. So we may be getting to that. Here I did put in some chicory, radicchio, and that was just recent because what I do, I try to raise to fill up. No, that's lettuce, what you're filming now, and onions next to it. Oh, and the thing about onions, that they go to seed quickly, and that's what they said in the video. So I picked off the flower. I mean, I may just pull these out, spring onions, but we'll see. Oh, chard, but there's nothing coming through yet. Again, maybe the wind, the rain will make a difference. There are runner beans here poking through, but they got a hit from the frost, but they did get hit there. Some more white because there are seeds in the ground, I think, and this is ochre. I can see another one over there. Now people are going to say okra. I'm not talking about okra, I'm talking about ochre. Ochre is spelled O-C-A, and ochre is New Zealand yam, and they're little knobbly things, and they say they may take over from potatoes in time. Anyway, so there's spinach. Now the spinach is going to seed. I had spinach, I don't expect people to remember from the previous videos, on the previous bed, and I ripped them all out because they were going to seed. That's why the beds are empty. And there's carrots here, and I have to do a bit of weeding, I can see. I did try a bit of transplanting carrots here. Well, they've seemed to have survived, but they say that's not a thing to do with carrots because carrots don't like being transplanted. I did purposely put onions here. But what they say about carrots, and I see another plot holder has done that. He's got his carrots raised up, which they should really be, and he's got them covered with a net, which has been blown off in the wind. But anyway, he's got them covered because there's the carrot fly. So I have to keep a watch. And then there was the thing about there's not a line of carrots here, but I'm hoping over there where I mentioned earlier they'll come in line. There's the thinning. I'm trying to remember when they say it's the best time to thin carrots. And I think it may be the evening, but I can't swear to that. But not to attract the carrot fly, because as you're doing the thinning, apparently you attract the carrot fly. I'll move over here because I can go on and on. So I put dwarf beans in again here, but anyway, they'll come through with the rain. At the same time as we're talking, I'm listening out because I can, even though I wear hearing aids when I'm in a social group and my hearing isn't brilliant, I can pick up water flowing. Maybe I've just become so tuned to it. Because I'm still watering by hand, I thought it made there's holes in the pot, so I thought it made direct water. Well, that's not my idea. It's thing that the people have been doing forever. Well, there's the thing about what I'm going to do the rest of the month and into June. Well, finishing off, I've more or less put the pipes where I want them here, and there's this path to sort out because I dug it out, but maybe I'll dig a bit more to make it a little bit more level. And I've got to hide this pipe because I thought people falling over it, the connecting pipe. So I've got to dig it out. And also down here, I moved the slabs and try and make some kind of, as my wife had pointed out, look, you know, it's a bit dodgy down there walking. I'm not a very technical DIY person, but there's a grid here. The soil was falling into the grid, and it doesn't make it easy to always close the door. Not that I need to close it now because it's so hot, and I need to sort this out. I did mention that in the greenhouse, I'll get back to the jobs. There are tomatoes, there's sweet potato at the beginning. Those were bought in, sweet potato, because I can't start trying to root sweet potato. And there's cucumbers growing on the side. I did prune the tomatoes. They say take off the lower ones. The other thing is, they say if you use the side shoots and put them in water, they'll root, which I attempted to do over there in just behind you, but the heat was too much and knocked them out. Oh, those aubergine that kind of didn't develop, but I may just stick them in the soil and see what happened. I mentioned the path, keeping up with the weeds, which I can see surface weeds which are growing in there. I have to clean those more, and to keep sowing where there are gaps. I'd even sow in between the brassica here, just to keep sowing and not leave, and because that will also help against weeds. So those are jobs. Then dealing with connecting the drip pipe down the bottom, helping my wife on her raised bed, weeding along here. And there's also the mowing. I do the general with others, mowing on the site and the other kinds of jobs that might come along. So that's about it really, and I'll see you in June.